Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Lori Davis, hosting the Today Show. It might be a solo show, not sure yet. Anyway, I'm here and expecting maybe our founder, Jay Stoyan, to pop in, and also our good friend, Chief Standing on the Road. We'll see. So, thank you for being here and looking forward to talking to you today about and introducing to you our Thursday theme of our show. We feature Voices of Indigenous People and veterans. So, today I'm hoping that we'll have that opportunity to talk to Chief if he can get here, and then perhaps Jay will pop in as well. So let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to do is to welcome everybody to the show today, and thank you so much for being here. We're looking forward. Today I thought I would do some education around the Canadian Indigenous community and get some support on that or comments. That would be awesome. Good. We're looking forward to today's show. But before we start, I need to do some thank yous, and we'd like to thank the Disability Channel for being our home network and giving us the opportunity to educate, motivate, empower, bring new information to the table for you. So thank you, Disability Channel. The staff is amazing. The team there, shout out to Lewis and Kathy Bell. My gosh, wow. The support has been amazing. And also our most recent collaboration with Your Home TV, which really expands our broadcasts into the United States and throughout Canada even further. So thank you so much for that. And also too, for all of the guests that are wanting to be on the show. Oh my gosh, I'm now booking into June already. So every day we have a theme. So on Monday we do self-care, self-worth, self-improvement, personal and professional development guests come in. On Tuesdays we do finance, and I co-host with Ramin Modiri, Dr. Ramin Modiri, and he's our financial guru. And we'll be bringing in some other financial guests as well to share information with us that will support us in the area of finance, which really can bring a lot of stress to the table, especially since COVID, right? Everybody has struggled with that. Not everybody, but it hurt a lot of people. Did you know that 250 million businesses went down during COVID throughout the planet? 250 million businesses. That's a lot of businesses. And on Wednesdays, we talk wellness. And yesterday, our guest, Dr. Susie Mearswick, was here and shared an alternative way to relieve pain without drugs. That was amazing. And today, we were expecting former Chief Dr. Leonard Standing on the road. And if he can get in, he will. He's traveling today. But in the meantime, I have lots of information to share. And hopefully, Jay will pop in whenever he has a chance this morning as well. So that's our thank yous. And also, we have a very special gift for our guests. So when you appear on the show as a guest, the Disability Channel sends you out a beautiful selection of digital gifts. And one is a signed poster, the cover of Jay Stoyan's book, Flanagan's Life Inside an Irish Street Gang, which is actually going to be turned into a television series. He's pretty excited about that. And secondly, a copy of his song that he wrote, Shining Light, all about overcoming obstacles and barriers. And then a digital, kind of like a little inspirational, I haven't seen it, so I have to look at that so I can describe it more accurately. Anyway, it's inspirational. It's like a little clip to keep us all motivated. And we need that, right? We sure do. And then, of course, our guests donate a gift. So when a guest comes on, they donate a gift, and every Friday we have a draw. So if you're on the show live, we would ask you to leave your name and a comment if you like, so that we know you're here. And then we can add your name to the list for the prizes on Friday. So far we have time with Dr. Ramin Modiri, our financial guru, some complimentary time with him. Susie donated her book, Sow in Tears, Reap in Joy. And Virginia, if you'd like to do a little bit of addiction art therapy, she has that to offer as well. So we have lots of really great stuff to give away. And I'm going to be giving away some things too. Excuse me. If I have to do all the talking today, I better have my water, right? So those are kind of the headers for our show. And when Jay comes in, I'll get him to talk about the gift from the Ottawa Chamber concerning the fest that's being held. It's a $600 ticket, and we're going to be drawing for that the last Friday of the month. So if your names come in, you're eligible to win our gifts on Friday and also our gifts at the end of the month, so the bigger ones. And we just put your name back in the hat for that one. All right, well, our show is dedicated today to the Indigenous community and also our veterans. And I have some veterans lined up to be on the show in the next couple of weeks, so that'll be fun as well to hear from them. So I thought if I'm here alone, I will then start to share a little bit of information to help educate us on exactly what is the residential school system. And you hear that on the news when there's issues with our Indigenous communities. They'll be talking about intergenerational trauma from the residential school system. But I'm discovering that a lot of people have no idea what that even is. And so I'd like to go back a little in history and talk a bit about what is the residential school system here in Canada. And in the United States, it was called the Indian boarding schools. So when the Europeans landed in North America, they were unaware of the fact that there were actually people living here. And throughout North America, there were probably about 100 million altogether Indigenous people living here already. And I hope I have that number correctly. 10 million, but it was millions. 10 million perhaps, 100 million, but it was millions. So I need to reflect on that research because I might be mistaken there. But anyway, this was a huge problem for those countries that were in Europe fighting over who's going to get what. So you had the first Europeans to land were actually the Spanish conquistadors in Mexico. They were the first Europeans to come. And actually, they taught our native people how to scalp. They weren't scalpers originally. It was the Spanish conquistadors that did that. So there was money paid to bring in scalps from our Indigenous people. That's how that started. And so I think in order for us to understand some of the things that we hear on the news today and our Indigenous people and how they're moving forward and claiming their rights, there's a history, and there's a big history. So when two nations go to war and the war ends, they usually sign off on a treaty agreement. So treaties were signed between Europeans that came here, England, France, Spain. They were all here wanting what was here. And one of the only ways they could actually get what they wanted was to start either to assimilate the Indigenous people that were living here or get rid of them. And they did both. They did both. So the government and the church and Indigenous communities, families, were involved in that residential school system. So the idea was if we can put the children into the school, which was run by churches, a variety of churches, not just the Catholic Church. The Anglican Church was involved. So was the United Church of Canada involved. And putting those kids in there to assimilate them make them white. This was the whole plan. Because when they went into those residential schools, boarding schools, they weren't allowed to speak their language. They weren't allowed to practice their spirituality. And things were very strict and abusive. And then you'll have people say, if it hadn't been for the residential school system, I wouldn't know how to cook or sew or play hockey even. So you will hear stories from our elders who were residents in the schools come to us with different stories, but very few people really like to talk about it at all. It's kind of like World War II. My dad was a veteran of World War II, and he seldom talked about it. He didn't want to talk about it. And he was 75 before he had his first flashback, his first setback that we might call a form of PTSD today. So lots of trauma within the frame of the residential school system. And families were separated. Now, some families took their kids there because they thought it would be a place that they could be educated and in return would have a better life. But that didn't happen in most of the cases because the kids were in a very unsafe, abusive environment. Now picture this, and this was shared to me by one of my clients who was an addictions counselor on Vancouver Island, and she was a survivor. And the word survivor is residential school survivor. Sometimes I'd rather think of them as a friend pointed out to me, that they were victims. So we have to make sure that we understand the verbiage and the language and all of that. But anyway, in speaking with Audrey, she said in the school, they would go into Mass every morning, Catholic Mass. They would sit at the back of the church. They'd be the last ones to go in. So they would go in and they'd sit in the back aisle. And the only thing they ever saw were the backs of people's heads. There was no connect, no eye contact. So then when Mass was over, they would get up first and be led out of the church before anyone else got up to go out. So they never really had any personal contact. And that was just one incident of some of the things that happened. And there were a lot of things that happened. So when you have that separation, if you think about this, the separation from family, there was no family. There were no moms, no dads. The kids were allowed to go home during the summer for a little bit sometimes, or at Christmas. Some kids didn't get home at all. And they were in these schools like 5, 6, 8 years at a time. Sometimes whole families would be there, brothers, sisters. And so that separation from family, what that did to our Indigenous communities was cut out that training, that ability to be effective parents. And so you had this big breakdown in the family unit. And that's why so many of the families are still struggling to be able to provide a secure, safe environment for their children. And it's generational. So the last residential school closed down in Canada in 1996. Now think about that. 1996. That's not that long ago in the scheme of things. It's almost 30 years now, but when they opened up in 18, let me just double check here. Oh my, 18, they tried for decades to set them up, but the first one wasn't set up until it looks like 1845. So from 1845 to 1996, that's like 125 years. Do you realize how many generations that is? Wow. Now in the United States, the Indian boarding schools only lasted 40 years. So not so much entrenchment of that Western culture, that white culture. So we'll find that our Native American friends are a lot more traditional in some ways than our Canadian Indigenous people. So we're going to take a little break right now. And this time we'll do the 30-second flip. And then I'll come back and talk about what can happen for you in that 30-second flip. And if you're watching the show, please put your name up in the comments so we know and we can put you in for the prizes that are forthcoming. I'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Lori Davis, and I'm hosting the Today Show, and it kind of looks to me like I may be solo today, but I'm okay. I'm good with that. Hopefully Jay will pop in, and Chief if he gets a chance. But today our show is dedicated Voices of Indigenous People, so I'm here representing all of that today, and we do have some guests lined up in the next few weeks. Now, that 30-second flip where you saw the black with the snowflakes coming down, we want to use that space to promote you. So if you have a product, a program, a service, a book, a cause, something that you're working on and you'd like it to be featured, we do have an advertising program. We also have a sponsorship program for people who'd like to sponsor a big chunk of shows. And of course, because the Disability Channel is a nonprofit organization, we are always open to receiving donations. So when Jay comes, I'll get him to talk a little bit about the Disability Channel and what he does and how it could actually help service the communities that we're talking about today. And welcome to Kathy Bell. She's watching the show today. Beautiful. Thank you, Kathy. So today we're talking about the residential school system here in Canada because a lot of people don't even know anything about it. And if you want to understand what's happening today in our Indigenous communities, we need to know the history. We need to know a little bit. Now, I'll share with you how ignorant I was. My dad grew up in Stewiacke, Nova Scotia, and just 10 minutes away in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, was this big brick building. We thought it was a hospital. We would drive by that all the time. We didn't know what was going on in there. We didn't realize it was anything awful or bad. We just thought it was a hospital. So good morning, Nadzed. And if you want to make some comments, I would appreciate that and we could support the conversation. So I know that we weren't the only ones. It's the way we were programmed and what we were not taught in our history books as a white person growing up. You see? So ignorance is not bliss. Trust me, it is not. So you hear, that's why today there's lots of movement to support our communities, to get educated, to come back and help their people and reframe the family unit and get that back up and running. But this was 125 years of programming and conditioning that we're trying to reconfigure. Just imagine. 125 years. You don't fix that overnight. And so it has taken decades of people getting their healing work done, making sure that they have effective parenting skills and all the things that need to happen in order to heal that. So as I shared about the family unit, once the families were, dissected, separated, there was no sense of family. The love was there. That's my sister. I love my sister and I love my mom, but I don't even know my mom. And I only know my sister from being in residential school together and maybe weren't even in the same dorm because they were big. These buildings were big. And if you want more information, go to YouTube and search residential school. And that'll give you a feel for what is happening. So it's not about blaming anybody or shaming anybody. It's just to help us understand what happened here. And it was the best kept secret in America, truly, because the ignorance around it and not understanding it. So way back in the day, I've been working on and off reserves for over 25 years, from the far north, as far south as Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the Navajo people, East Coast, West Coast, and everything in between. So having spent that time in the communities, it's really easy to see why the communities are the way they are. So in 1992, this book was one of the first books I ever found about the residential school system. And it was written by Isabel Knockwood. And Isabel Knockwood and her brother Noel, actually, her brother Noel was the very first Indigenous Speaker of the House in Nova Scotia. And of course, they've both passed away now. But the Knockwood family were very proactive in getting information out there way back in the day. So Isabel wrote a book called Out of the Depths. And eventually, that big brick building that I talked about burned down. And everybody was really happy about that. Because imagine that you spent your childhood there, then you leave and you go back to your community and you're trying to make a life or build a life. And every time you walk by that building, what a trigger, right? And same with when they walk by churches and experiencing what happened there. And so there was lots of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse was really rampant. And then, of course, you recall, I believe about 2 years ago, they discovered bodies, 241 bodies of babies and young children underneath the grounds of the residential school in Kamloops, British Columbia. And of course, it was technology that enabled us to be able to go and search that out. And now, up until now, they have discovered across Canada 10,000 bodies of children and babies and unmarked graves, never identified, and children would go missing. Parents would go to the school to pick them up for Christmas and they wouldn't be there. So what's happening? So there was this travesty of horror, if you will. And do you know how some people don't believe that the Holocaust actually happened? There are actually people on the planet that believe that never happened. And there are people on the planet right now that don't think what I'm talking about ever happened. Wow. But there's tons of evidence. And of course, with the last school closing in 1996, that group of residential school survivors is still fairly young, and they have their stories to tell as well. And I didn't realize that until I had a client come to my lodge because I service the communities quite heavily. And so a group of women came down from the north and they were at my lodge. And one of them was fairly young, maybe 32, 33. And she shared in her healing story that the minute that she walked into the school in 1996, maybe 94, she was there a couple of years, the first thing they did with her and her brother was cut off all their hair. And if you know anything about the Indigenous culture, hair is very sacred and very valued. So here's a way to strip you down right away. We're going to cut your hair. And you'll see that in videos and on YouTube, kids having their braids cut. First thing that happened for the attempts to assimilate. And one of the things that I have so much respect for is how strong and resilient and forthcoming, because our Indigenous people, believe it or not, are still here and they're still fighting for what is theirs. Because you see, they signed the treaties, but the government didn't really honor many of those treaties. So in exchange for the land, and you know here in Canada, we have what we call crown land, crown that belongs to England, crown land, and we cannot buy it, we cannot lease it, we can't do anything with it. Because none of us own it, not even us as Canadian citizens. So Isabel starts her book off, and if you don't have this book, you need to get it. It was one of the very first books ever written. And the experience of Mi'kmaq children at the Indian Residential School in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. And of course, Shubenacadie Residential School closed down in 1962. So our survivors of the residential school system, the people who actually lived there, are pretty much gone now, on the East Coast. But they're definitely not gone on the West Coast. So I had the honor of having a residential school survivor victim come and spend 2 months with me, 1 month at a time. We call her Cookum. That's the Cree word for grandmother. It was the first time in my life I had the honor, the deepest honor, of being able to sit at the table, have breakfast with someone who actually had the experience. And like I said, a lot of them do not want to talk about it. It's too painful. Can you imagine? And all of a sudden, Cookum started opening up about her experiences. Well, it's pretty hard not to open up with me because I have this thing tattooed on my forehead. Tell me your life story because I will listen. So she and I'd be having our morning tea and she'd say, and she actually read the book. She thought, I'm going to read that. I haven't seen ever a book like that. And every morning I'd come down, she'd be sitting in her chair with her coffee reading a bit of the book because they all could write books for sure. But it was fascinating. And on the positive side, super cleaner. Like Cookum was so fastidious that we'd hardly have our dinner eaten and she'd be cleaning the plate off the table. But you see, that was the training. In her day, she waited on the tables where the priests and nuns had their meals. And everything was very socialized, civilized. And so everything had to be done to perfection. The tablecloths had to be ironed. The sheets had to be ironed. So that training is still with her today. And cooking and cleaning, it's her love language, I know. Now, Nadzen has created a nice comment. So I'm going to put that up so we can read it. It might cover up most of me. So just let's have a look. Nadzen says, as someone who serves my Indigenous people, it is heartbreaking to see the breakdown in family. They love their family, but not sure how to show it as they have been hurt. The abuse and neglect. The children deceased and missing. This is where my heart is, to walk alongside my people in their healing journey. It's not our fault what happened, but it's our responsibility to heal or to help heal. This is my job and purpose, to help restore, to walk with them, and to listen to the pain and atrocities. We are just trying. We just try. We are just trying. Exactly, Nadzen. And I've often said this, I'm not responsible, or nor can I take responsibility for what my ancestors did. But in the here and now, I do believe I'm a big part of the healing. So that's how I give back, how we give back, to be able to get to the core of some of those hurts and help people move forward in their journey so they can let that go and not make it part of that new life. So we're very diligent and interested, and we do work with young parents because our parents are our most impressionable teachers. So if we can have our young Indigenous parents break those cycles, that means healing for the children and the next generation. All right, well, we're going to take a little 30-second break. And remember, you can provide an ad, a little 30-second clip. If you're interested in doing something like that, I'm just going to put my contact information up here. And you can do that by contacting me directly at 780-909-8571, or you can email the Lori Davis Show at gmail.com. All right, here we go. We'll take 30 seconds and take a little breather. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Lori Davis, and this is the Today Show coming to you from the Disability Channel and our new partner, Your Home TV. And we're so delighted to have made those collaborations, if you will. I know I certainly am happy about it. And look who's here. Oh my gosh. Look who showed up. Yay. Good morning.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm on the road again.
Yes.
I should probably tell our viewers exactly what I'm doing today, which is a little bit interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I deal with hospital administrations across Ontario, and right now I'm out at Joseph Brant, and I'm dealing with some family issues, but I also am I'm trying to incorporate our employment programs on a volunteer or job basis for patients that are in the hospital and will not be leaving for a while, but they are bored out of their mind and
Oh,
they'd like to do something. And it's just, so I've been meeting with administrations just to say, let's keep, while the patients are in the hospital, let's try and keep their minds going. Let's give them something to do. And it seems to be well received. So I'm just dealing with that. But I thought I would, that's why I'm late today. So just to let you know, so
that's okay.
to
That's
let our
awesome.
viewers know. But
You're
I was
there.
promoting the show and all that online. So
Cool.
yeah. So how are you?
Well, we're doing fine. Today is our VIP Voices of Indigenous People, and our guest has been delayed, but that's okay. I have enough information on my own to pursue a conversation, and so we've had some nice comments come in. And but while you're here, let's take advantage of you being here and just share with our viewers because we have lots of new viewers that are showing up, and to just talk a little bit about the Disability Channel and your focus on the educational side. Over to you.
Well, this is great because the three guests that we've had this week, which would be Ramin and Susie and I forget the third guest. What was her name?
Virginia.
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 Yeah, like very, very informative, very insightful, passing along a great information. And actually, I had somebody reach out to me today regarding Susie's interview because this person has been in constant pain for many years and does not want to take, wants to keep the drugs as minimal as possible. So it'd be great if I could connect with Susie. I don't know if she might even be watching us, but yeah, they would love to connect. And then Ramin with the finances, because like I said, because we are a full-fledged TV station, so we do have our tentacles into celebrities and athletes and high-level CEOs and people who they make a lot of money and they want to at the end of the day hang on to that money. So that was great. I do want to mention something regarding the Veterans House charity, which again, they are going to be changing their name. They are going international, but we do have we are the media for their second 50-50 draw. So their 50-50 draw started, if not yesterday, the day before, and it wraps up on May 31st. So it's advertised on our Facebook page. You can go and purchase tickets. The last draw was almost $2,700, and that was the first one that they ever had. So hopefully this one will garner more attention, more funds. And again, 50-50. So the 50% goes to the winner, and the other 50 goes to our enhance our employment programs for persons with disabilities and veterans. So that's good. So you can check us out, or you can go to their website. Veteran House Charity, I believe it's .ca, but it's on our website too, right? So you can just check it out. It'd be great. Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's kind of exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
And would you like to give a little blurb on our big ticket item for a draw at the end of the month? And you might not have the poster there.
Oh, I don't. I do have it over there, but I know it anyway. So, and you can.
Yeah.
We're gonna post it on our Facebook page. So it's a 2-ticket pass to the Chamberfest Ottawa Festival in Canada's capital, city of Ottawa, valued at $600. Emails on our Facebook page if you're interested, because we're going to do the draw at the end of the month, and the winner's going to win a valued prize of $600 for a weekend pass at the Arts Festival in Ottawa. So that's kind of exciting, really exciting, actually.
Wow.
Yes.
And we've had some great donations for this Friday. Anybody who is on the show, attends the show, comments on the show, their names all go in for our draws every Friday. So far we have a little art therapy session, I believe, from Virginia. and she's watching this morning too. We have an hour free consultation with Ramin for someone if they want to discuss anything about their finances. And yesterday, Susie donated her book, Sow in Tears, Reap in Joy. And it was a story of her upbringing in a very abusive and dysfunctional family. So, yeah, so we've got lots of stuff going on.
No, this is good. What else was good? I was going to mention we're going to be having a top U.S. crime reporter on soon. His name is Ron Chepnick. You got to check this guy out. He's written multiple novels. He's entrenched in the crime world. He's interviewed the biggest thugs and mobsters and bikers in the world. So it's going to be exciting. I'm going to bring him on our high-profile Suite 303 show, but I'll also bring him on the Today Show, and I think he's actually going to be on our Sirius XM radio show. We're going to flood the airwaves with Ron Chepnick because he's all related to the AMG and Sony. So this is kind of exciting. And I did want to mention, so for our guests that appeared on the show, which was very nice, we give away online. We're giving away a package, a TDC package. So you receive the book Flanagan, signed by myself, which is going to be turned into a television series. You receive the song Shining Light, which is going to be attached to the Veteran World, right? And you receive a video courtesy TDZ Zen. And two things I want to know: that somebody donated $50 to the cause through the I think it was through the guest, through our show, through the Today Show. So somebody donated $50 because of what we do is we send out at the end of the show, we send out a thank you to our guests along with the package. So I want to thank I'm not sure who donated the 50. And we also have a GoFundMe now. We have a GoFundMe page, right? So again, those proceeds are going to go towards our employment program. So check us out. We'll be sharing the link on our Facebook page. So a GoFundMe page and a donation page. And again, all the proceeds go to giving people opportunities. So we really appreciate the kindness and the support.
Awesome. I have a feeling I might know who did that. I'll check it out with her.
Yeah, very nice. I do have some news to share.
Yeah,
now,
okay.
Just flipping it over because it's, I'm a big sports guy. So as of this morning, the Maple Leafs have let go of the coach Sheldon Keefe.
Oh,
so
wow.
Just for people interested. Well, I think he's been here 5 years, and the Maple Leafs have been getting the same results 7 out of the 8 last years, which is first round playoff exit. And they continue to do the same thing with the same players. So finally they fired the coach because in my eyes, it was a country club full of millionaires who are not held accountable. Because if you watch the press conference after the Leafs lost for the 8th time, not one star player took responsibility. They all thought they did good. Well, we did our part. The bounces didn't go our way. No. You're delusional. Do not pay Mitch Marner this new contract. He's not worth it. He's a regular season hockey player. He's not a playoff performer. He's a regular season ballerina is what he is. So I would not, I would not bring him back. What?
All right.
8 years. I tell it like it is. As far as the other guys, Matthews, the guy misses 3 games and doesn't even disclose his injury. So we don't know. So people are there to guess why he missed 3 playoff games. Willie missed 3 games. Those are the top paid players on our team. And they are the ones that are not held accountable again. So let's see what they're going to do. They should be firing Brendan Shanahan, the general manager. I'll tell you about this guy, Lori. This guy, Brendan Shanahan, Toronto born in Mimico. So he's right here, right where we live. I know exactly where he grew up. And he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a Hall of Famer hockey player. And this is why. Because he could score 50 goals and he would punch you out. He was the ultimate player. He was a team player. He was super talented. Went number 2 in a draft, I believe, behind Mario. And he could fight like the Dickens. Like he was a great fighter, but he wasn't a goon. Nowhere near a goon because he could score 50 goals. Like he's a Hall of Famer. So when MLSE Maple Leafs hired him 10 years ago now, 10 years he's been here, we thought, wow, if we can get a team like Brendan Shanahan, and he went totally rogue and did the opposite. We had probably, I'm a little passionate about the Leafs here.
I was picking up on that. I'm thinking, where are we going with this?
So we had two of the top executives in the NHL that joined our team 10 years ago, right? And they have a track record of winning the cup. One was named Lou Lamoriello, who won 3 cups in Jersey, ran a tight ship, and the other one was Mark Hunter, who owns the London Knights, and he's the best developer for players around. Every player he drafted from us got developed and moved up to the team. Since he's been fired, no development of players. Since Lou Lamoriello was fired, the team took over, and I'll tell you why. Because when Lou Lamoriello ran the Leafs, you wore a suit and tie every day and no facial hair and no talking to the media unless I give it the okay. Like he ran a tight ship. Wow. Since he got fired, the Millionaires teamed up with the coach, 5 of them, and it became a country club where you could not speak up. You could not say anything. You just had a total line. And I'll give you an example. They had a goalie named Ben Scrivens, probably 5-6 years ago, called up from the Marlies minors, right? Got a start, got literally hung out to dry by his team, and he must have scored 6 goals. And the media asked him after the game, what happened? And he went, I was out there by myself. My player, they didn't, nice team I got. And he got canned and never came back. So you speak up against the big boys, guess what? You're out. Right?
Well, that's in any world.
But that's so like it's so ridiculous because all hockey fans can see it.
Yeah.
Like no one's held accountable. They do the same thing game in, game out. Put it this way. They signed their top 5 stars can all go into the corner with a dozen eggs and come out with a dozen eggs because they don't like to be touched.
There you go.
Ballerinas, 5 ballerinas, all the same type of players. Okay, there's my rant on the Leafs.
Well, that's your rant for today. Well, that's a good thing. That's good to rant.
So I want people to comment because I know I got a lot of Leaf fans watching us, right?
Okay. All righty. That's good. Thank you for that, because that's something that I cannot do.
You know what I want to ask you?
What?
I wanted to ask you regarding, I was going to ask the chief this question too. I was all ready for it. Maybe I'll ask you and you can just give me your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So as a person who knows very little, and I'm kind of embarrassed about the Indigenous community, but I know very little about it, right? I mean, I know very little. I would love to just be educated on a day of a life of a person living in that world, like a kid, like, is it the same? Like, I don't know. I'm asking, like, take me through where, that's why I really like to talk to the chief. Like, tell me how how the young soak up the tradition, soak up the culture, soak up all the knowledge. And it's fascinating to me.
Well, first of all, the problem is that a lot of the culture disappeared because when they set up the residential school system, the whole goal was to eliminate that. So you're not allowed to speak. You get punished if you spoke your language in there. No traditional spirituality. You're going to be a Catholic. You're going to be a Christian. You're not going to wear your hair long. You're going to wear it shaved off, which was very, very devastating because to the Indigenous people, their hair is very sacred. So everything to try and make them white, so to speak. So what happened is now families are dissected and disunited, and the cultural aspect, that's why you'll see a lot on the media about, the powwows coming back, the ceremonies coming back, because they want their children entrenched in the culture. Because when you're not who you really are, you see all of the problems of the, like right now, a chief was going to talk about the opiate pandemic that are in the communities right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the day of a child on the res, well, first of all, it's overwhelmed by poverty. So they're in poverty. 69 reservations in this country right now don't have clean water. Can you believe that?
Wow.
So maybe I'm living in a community that can't even drink the water that comes out of the tap. I get up, maybe last night my mom and dad or the community was there and they were all drinking, partying. I didn't get any sleep. There was no breakfast. So I'm going to school, kind of hungry. Thank goodness for the breakfast programs. I'm not saying this is all the kids, but if you want a general picture.
Yeah.
And in 1998, I did a project in Elsipogtog, New Brunswick, which is a reservation there, second largest. And we put out an announcement that we needed to test pilot our youth program. And we put it out and we had 72 kids sign up. So I got a pretty good picture of what things were like. They were asking us things like this, workbook. Are you busy there for a minute?
Yeah, for a second. I'm just checking something. Yeah.
Okay. So they would ask us to whisper to us, how do you spell alcohol? How do you spell sexual abuse? These were the things they were recording in their workbooks. So life can be very chaotic. Some families have managed to survive that and surpass that and create stable environments. It wouldn't be fair to say that every kid lives that life. But I would say for me, and I don't think anybody would challenge it, the overwhelming poverty would be the thing that would be there. And a lot of people have this idea that the government continues to pour, millions of dollars into the communities. That can happen, but it's not necessarily the frontline kids that get the money. But now there's agencies coming up. There's Jordan's Principle, which was established in honor of a little boy who died and passed away. And there's money available to support children and youth, right?
Well, when we were talking to the chief the other day, I'd really be interested, like when you mentioned about that I guess that lady that he had a meeting with regarding getting more awareness, getting more support. I'm very excited to talk to her. That would be great, because I think we could do a lot. I think we could really showcase the Indigenous community. I think that would be I think people would. I think they're eager. I think they're hungry to learn about, the culture.
Well, we need to learn.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, Jay, we weren't given the real story either.
That's right.
And people wonder why the ignorance or the prejudice or the racism, because we were told certain things.
Well, it's so sad because
things.
Yeah, it's so sad because, like, as a kid growing up, I mean, the Indigenous community got such a bad rap, and because we were so uneducated, I didn't know, like, I don't know, you just listen to your elders, and it's like, so they were like pushed to the side for my whole life. It was all, what it's like? It's like when I grew up, I was gonna say it's so funny, but it's not funny. So when I grew up in preschool, like, K to 6, right? There was one classroom where they put all the disabled kids in. Doesn't matter what age you were, really didn't matter what level you were on as far as your disability. It reminds me a little bit of the Indigenous community. They just sort of put the persons with and I had an illness, but mine would come and go. So when I was at school, I wasn't sick. I was like today. I was like just a nut bar, but I was healthy. I was healthy, but I was, but so they didn't put me in that class. But I had a friend of mine who had a hearing problem. And I used to say, well, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with that class? And he would go, it's terrible. It's like, And I'm going, we got to get you out of there. And we got him out of that class and into like an everyday class. Like, he fought with his mom and dad, but it was just, so it's just, so it's sad.
Like, No?
Yeah, no
Okay.
good. No, I'm just sharing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all about division, you see. So as long as we keep people divided, so let's say um, I'm not, as a kid, I'm not allowed to have a black friend, or I'm not allowed to have an indigenous friend, or I can't bring an Asian friend home, or they're Catholic and we're Protestant. I mean, the whole world is divided. So if we have something like an obvious disability, so I have, like today on the press box, we're going to be interviewing Sabine Becker, who was a thalidomide baby. And our young people don't even know what that is. But in the 60s, pregnant women were given this drug that had not been fully tested, and to impact morning sickness, so they wouldn't be so sick. And 20,000 babies were born either without legs, without arms, um, and they're now in their 60s. So she's our guest this afternoon on the press box,
Wow.
and
This is
we'll have
great.
her. She's going to be on our show, the Today Show, on the 24th. So, but you see, because of the physical disability, she was separated. So it's all about division. So what we're trying to do, and what I'm involved in, is let's put it all together. Let's get together and talk about what can we do to help you? What can you do to teach us? And so there are a lot more collaborations now. But you see, some people and the higher ups, they're not comfortable with that because it's not popular to empower a marginalized community.
I don't. I
I
don't
know
know.
that personal
Yeah.
experience. Okay. So it's not popular to empower a marginalized community. I'm repeating that because that's a
Yeah.
fact. Okay.
No, this is good. This is good. I just want to share. I had a friend of mine in the disability community, and unfortunately, she's quite disabled. Right, she's missing a couple limbs. And we were talking about just what's going on in today in general and all that kind of stuff. And and I just lost my train of thought here. Oh, and she said that Jay, I sort of come from the non-BS world. Being disabled and being severely disabled has you get slapped in the face with life and reality every day real quick about how people really are and blah blah blah. So she goes, I have a little bit of a different perspective when I'm talking to people who want to blow smoke up, right? She says, I cut right through it and just no, that's she goes, I don't have time in life. I've already been dealt the ace of spades. I'm just moving forward. And if I feel somebody's just placating me, I'm gonna let them know. And for myself, I feel a little bit like that. I've been through the ringer, like everybody's been through the ringer. But I just sort of, I cut to the chase myself. I'm just a sort of black and white guy. I'm no gray. I can be gray in order to protect people's feelings and stuff like that, obviously. But when it comes to the truth, I just speak my mind. My mind.
Me too. And that's not popular.
No.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes yet, but just want to say thank you for popping in and
I think I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna let you wrap, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, you bet. Just wave goodbye and say goodbye.
Do me one favor for Doug this afternoon. Ask him his thoughts on the firing of Sheldon Keefe.
Okay.
Well, you'll blow his mind. You'll blow his mind.
Okay, we'll do. Because this afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll be on the air again with our famous Doug Smith, and we do a show called The Press Box. And today our special guest is Sabine Becker. So yeah, join us again today. I'm on twice on Thursdays.
Wow.
Like, double duty,
busy lady, busy girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Laura.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
You betcha. All right. Well, in wrapping up, and I love and appreciate all the beautiful comments. And Nedzen, I'm going to pop up your last one here. From all the pain that Indigenous people have been through, it's sad that our people are the ones hurting each other. Yes, because now you see it's internalized and it's inside the communities. We have the highest poverty rates, incarceration rates, addiction rates. This is a problem, and we need the help. We need love, compassion, and understanding. And that's what we do. That's why we're so popular. So today you've been listening to the 4th episode, season 1 of the new Today Show, broadcasting 5 days a week. Tomorrow, my special guest will be Sylvia Somerville, author, guru, writing instructor, has published 32 books. And recently, her last novel, which took her 5 years to write, went #1 bestseller, The Old-Fashioned Way. And she sold 1,800 solid books, hard copy, within about 4 weeks. So if you want to have a look at that, her book is called Jigsaw, and it's her life story starting back when she was born under very precarious situations. So she'll be our guest tomorrow. Just a thank you again to the Disability Channel, to all of you who've showed up here today. And we'll put all of your names in the hat on Friday because each of our guests donates a gift. And so my gift to you today from the solo show plus Jay will be a copy of a book that I was in called Ignite the Entrepreneur. So I'll throw that in the basket for Friday and we'll see who wins that. And it's 35 entrepreneurs internationally who got together and wrote their story of their progress in business. And I had my first business when I was 12. So I've been in business for many years and I wrote my story in that book. So I'll share that with you. All right. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day. And if you have time, join us this afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And I will be co-hosting with our NHLer, Doug Smith, and our guest, Sabine Becker. So bye for now. Talk to you later.